something unexpected has shaken the fans of Moonshiners. Just a short while ago, news broke about Eric "Digger" Maines, one of the most loved faces of the show. Known for his humor, loyalty, and deep respect for the moonshining tradition, Digger has always been seen as a symbol of strength and authenticity. But behind the laughter and old-school distilling skills, he has been fighting a much tougher battle, one that has nothing to do with stills, mash, or the mountains of Tennessee. For years, Digger has been the kind of man who keeps his private life out of the spotlight. Fans only knew him as the master distiller with a sharp mind and humble attitude. However, that changed when he decided to open up about a personal struggle that left many heartbroken. He revealed that he had been diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, a serious form of blood cancer. This shocking announcement spread quickly across the internet, leaving his supporters both stunned and deeply moved. What followed was an outpouring of love and prayers from people around the world who have admired him for his hard work, honesty, and courage. Eric "Digger" Maines was born on February 20th, 1964, in Newport, Tennessee. His childhood was shaped by the quiet life of a small Appalachian town, where community values and hard work mattered most. His father, Charlie Maines, worked as an undertaker at the Brown Funeral Home. Digger spent much of his early life in that somber environment, often sitting in the funeral home doing his homework while his father worked. Instead of being frightened by that setting, he learned important lessons about care, responsibility, and attention to detail. As he grew older, Digger began helping his father with embalming, cleaning, and preparing services. This taught him to respect life and understand that every detail mattered. But even as he continued working in the family business, something else began calling him: the mysterious and old art of moonshining. Around him were men who lived by their own rules, working quietly in the woods and relying on their own skills. These were people who knew the land, respected nature, and took pride in making something special. Digger admired them not because they were lawbreakers, but because they were strong, self-reliant, and generous. He saw moonshining not as a crime, but as a form of heritage, a way of life passed down through generations. Every great craftsman has a teacher, and for Digger, that mentor was none other than Marvin "Popcorn" Sutton, a legendary Appalachian moonshiner whose name is still spoken with respect. Popcorn Sutton was born in 1946 and came from a long line of distillers in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. He was bold, proud, and incredibly skilled at making the purest liquor in the mountains. Under Sutton's guidance, Digger learned every detail of the distilling process, from choosing the best grains to building copper stills and controlling the heat to perfection. Popcorn taught him that moonshining was more than mixing ingredients. It was an art that required patience, intuition, and love for tradition. Digger soaked up every bit of knowledge, not just about distilling, but about integrity. Sutton often said that real moonshiners were not criminals, but craftsmen keeping an ancient art alive. This belief stayed with Digger for life. Even after Popcorn Sutton passed away, his influence continued through Digger's work. Digger built his business in Newport and became known for his fine craftsmanship and respect for the craft. The woods of East Tennessee became both his home and his workshop, a sacred place where hard work met history. For many years, Digger made his liquor in peace, away from cameras or crowds. But that changed when his longtime friend Mark Ramsey convinced him to join the reality TV show Moonshiners on the Discovery Channel. Mark had already appeared in earlier seasons and wanted his trusted partner by his side. At first, Digger hesitated. The idea of being filmed while working on something that had always been secret didn't sit right with him. Moonshining was supposed to be done in the shadows, not on national television. But eventually Mark persuaded him, and Digger appeared in season 4, quickly becoming a fan favorite. His calm personality, deep knowledge, and natural chemistry with Mark made their partnership one of the strongest parts of the series. Together, they showed viewers how real moonshining worked, not as reckless outlaw behavior, but as a mix of science, art, and passion. Fans loved how the two joked with each other, solved problems, and respected the craft. Digger's presence added authenticity to the show. He wasn't pretending, he was the real deal, a man who had learned from the best and practiced the art for decades. Before joining Moonshiners, Digger and Mark had worked quietly, avoiding the law and living by their own rules. But television fame changed everything. The show gave them a new opportunity to make their work legal and share it with the world. They partnered with Sugarland's distilling company and began producing legal moonshine under their own brand. Their products, like hazelnut rum and rye apple shine, became a success. Digger's name now appeared proudly on bottles sold across the United States, a huge step for a man who once had to hide his craft. This new chapter gave him financial stability and freedom from fear of arrest. Still, fame never changed who Digger was. He stayed loyal to his hometown, his friends, and his principles. The show brought him attention and money, but it also gave him a platform to preserve and promote Appalachian culture. Even as he became a public figure, he remained humble and grounded, spending time with his community and honoring his roots. While Moonshiners gained millions of fans, it also faced criticism. Many people questioned how the cast could make illegal liquor on TV without being arrested. Authorities and critics claimed that much of what viewers saw was staged for entertainment. Digger and his fellow shiners became part of this debate. Some said the show blurred the line between fact and fiction, but most agreed that the knowledge and techniques shown were genuine. Digger, having spent 4 decades in the trade, never needed to fake his skill. Whether or not the show was fully real, the craftsmanship it displayed was authentic. Still, this controversy never turned Digger bitter. He continued doing his job, teaching people about distilling and keeping Popcorn Sutton's traditions alive. For him, the show wasn't just about fame, it was about protecting a legacy that was slowly fading. He believed that the moonshining culture represented freedom, creativity, and the true spirit of the Appalachian people. In the later seasons of Moonshiners, fans noticed that Digger didn't look quite the same. Rumors began to spread about his health, and then, during season 13, he finally shared the truth. He had been diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, a type of cancer that affects the blood and bone marrow. It was a devastating revelation, yet Digger spoke about it openly and bravely. He said, "It ain't terminal, but it sure ain't fun." His honesty touched the hearts of millions. Instead of seeking pity, he chose to face the illness with courage and humor, just like he faced challenges in the woods. His close friend Mark Ramsey stood by him every step of the way, offering support and encouragement. That friendship became one of the most emotional and inspiring parts of the show. Fans poured out messages of love, prayers, and good wishes online. Digger thanked everyone for their kindness and said their prayers were felt and appreciated. Despite fatigue and medical treatments, he continued working, proving that passion and determination could overcome even the darkest days. Living with leukemia is never easy. The disease often causes weakness, fatigue, and frequent infections. Digger, however, refuses to let it define him. He still works, films, and takes part in community projects. His doctors monitor him closely, and he follows a careful treatment plan. For many patients with this condition, early treatment is not always necessary. Doctors often recommend regular checkups to watch how the disease progresses. When needed, modern medicine now offers targeted pills that attack cancer cells without the side effects of traditional chemotherapy. These treatments help people live normal, fulfilling lives. Digger's approach to his illness has become an inspiration to fans everywhere. He shows that no matter what life throws your way, you can keep doing what you love with pride and dignity. His strength reminds people that courage is not the absence of fear. It's choosing to move forward despite it. When Moonshiners first aired on December 6, 2011, few imagined it would become one of the Discovery Channel's longest-running shows. The series revealed the hidden world of Appalachian distillers who turned old traditions into living art. Over time, it grew beyond just entertainment. It became a way to preserve history. The show highlighted how generations of farmers and mountain families used leftover grain to make whiskey, especially during hard times like the 1920s Prohibition era. For many, moonshining wasn't about breaking the law. It was about survival, independence, and creativity. Digger's journey fit perfectly into that story. He represented the connection between old and new, between the secret world of illegal stills and the modern craft distilling movement. His work helped keep Appalachian traditions alive for a new generation. The friendship between Digger Maines and Mark Ramsey is not just a television partnership. It's a brotherhood forged through years of hard work, trust, and shared dreams. Long before cameras ever rolled, the two men were working quietly in the hills of East Tennessee, running their stills at night and watching out for the law by day. They had different personalities: Digger, the calm and methodical craftsman, and Mark, the outgoing problem solver. But together, they made a perfect team. When Discovery Channel's Moonshiners reached out, Mark knew he didn't want to do it without Digger. He trusted no one else with his secrets and skills. Over the years, viewers have watched their relationship grow deeper through laughter, danger, and now illness. When Digger revealed his leukemia diagnosis, Mark stood by his side like a brother, reminding everyone that true friendship doesn't fade when times get tough. He often checks on Digger, keeps him laughing, and encourages him to keep distilling, because he knows that the craft keeps his friend alive inside. Their bond shows that Moonshiners isn't just about liquor. It's about loyalty, respect, and the unspoken love between two men who have shared both success and struggle. To truly understand Digger, you have to understand the Appalachian way of life. The Appalachian Mountains stretch across the heart of the American South, where people live by values of honesty, hard work, and self-reliance. For generations, mountain families have passed down skills like hunting, farming, and yes, moonshining. To outsiders, moonshining may seem like rebellion, but to locals, it's a tradition born out of necessity. When times were hard and jobs were few, making liquor was a way to feed your family. Digger often says that he doesn't see himself as a criminal, but as a craftsman who keeps his culture alive. In interviews, he's described how the smell of corn mash boiling over a fire feels like home, a reminder of those who came before him. The craft is spiritual in a way. The still becomes a kind of family heirloom, something you protect and pass down. Digger's respect for his roots shines through every batch he makes. He believes that Appalachian culture has been misunderstood for too long and uses his fame to show the world that mountain people are skilled, proud, and deeply connected to their heritage. For Digger, Marvin Popcorn Sutton was more than a teacher. He was a hero. Popcorn was a legend not because he was rebellious, but because he refused to let an old art die. Digger often talks about his mentor with tears in his eyes, remembering the old days when Popcorn would stand by the still, cigarette in hand, giving out advice in his rough mountain accent. Popcorn taught Digger that the heart of moonshining wasn't the profit, it was the process. Every batch had to be made with patience, respect, and attention. Digger continues to live by those rules. He often says Popcorn might be gone, but he ain't forgotten. Every drop we make carries his spirit. After Popcorn's tragic passing, Digger made it his mission to keep that legacy alive. Not through illegal runs, but through storytelling, craftsmanship, and education. He and Mark often speak about Popcorn's techniques on Moonshiners, introducing younger viewers to the roots of the craft. In doing so, Digger honors not just a man, but an entire generation that kept Appalachian traditions alive through hard times. While fans see Digger smiling on television, few realize the toll that years of hard labor have taken on his body and mind. Working in the woods, hauling heavy barrels, and standing by hot fires day after day is grueling work. Add to that the emotional stress of fame, constant filming, public scrutiny, and the pressure to perform. And it's easy to see why Digger often says, "It ain't easy being on TV." His illness only made things harder. Some days the fatigue hits him like a wave, and even simple tasks feel exhausting. Yet Digger pushes through, not because he has to, but because he wants to. He says that staying active helps him feel alive. "If I stop working," he once shared, "then I'm letting the sickness win." Behind every public appearance lies a quiet battle, one fought with courage, medicine, and the support of loved ones. His determination shows millions of fans that no matter how dark life gets, you can always find purpose by doing what you love. When news of Digger's illness broke, the people of Newport, Tennessee didn't hesitate to rally around him.